A sense of dread pervaded the corridors of Crestwood High School. Leaving a path of humiliation in their wake, Jason Carter and his gang of entitled jocks strolled around the hallways like kings, slamming freshmen into lockers, insulting anybody who dared to appear different, and leaving a trail of humiliation in their wake. They were unattainable. They were famous athletes who had wealthy parents and were shielded by their name and power, up to the point that they bothered Malik Johnson. In addition to being quiet and perceptive, Malik was built like a linebacker. He was the new kid. On the other hand, he remained alone, his headphones put on, his eyes constantly searching. After Jason gave him a shoulder check in the corridor, he did not respond to the situation, remained unfazed when his staff muttered comments at a volume that was just loud enough for him to hear them. Malik was only another easy target for them to take aim at. It was Malik's secret, however. On a Friday after school, Jason and his guys surrounded Malik in the vicinity of the football field that was entirely deserted. "You really think you can just ignore us?" Jason scowled and clenched his knuckles in his fist. "At this institution, there is a hierarchy. What about you? Your position is at the bottom." Despite the fact that his countenance was unreadable, Malik cautiously removed his headphones. "You don't want to do this," they laughed at the bullies. "Or what is it? Will you be crying? Are you going to rush to the principal?" A smirk appeared on Malik's lips as he smiled slightly. "It is not. At this point, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to go." The first blow was delivered by Jason. All that followed was a haze of confusion. The movements of Malik were like a storm. He dodged, struck, and destroyed. Malik made a sharp crack with his arm behind his back as he twisted it behind his back. Jason's haymaker was just a few inches away from hitting the target. There was a lunge from one of Jason's companions, but they were met with a spinning elbow to the mouth. The third individual made an attempt to tackle Malik, but Malik tossed him into the grass like a ragdoll, negating the impact of the third individual's 250 pounds of strength. In less than 10 seconds, all three bullies were moaning and lying on the ground simultaneously. Malik came to a crouching position next to Jason, his voice a deep and menacing growl. "It's a mistake that you choose to meddle with that person. I was a member of the Special Forces. Taught me since I was 6 years old. As for me, I've been keeping my mouth shut every single day at this school." Getting closer, he leaned forward. "But if you ever touch me or anyone else again, I won't." The word quickly spread. As of Monday, the footage of the brawl had already gone viral. However, rather than the reaction that Malik anticipated, something unexpected took place. The kids applauded. It was revealed that Jason and his gang have been haunting Crestwood for a number of years. Teachers choose to ignore the situation. Suspensions were paid off by the parents. Malik, however, had accomplished something that no one else could. He had broken their rule of dread. Never again did the bullies trouble him in any way. And Crestwood High School breathed easy for the first time in what seemed like years. Since Malik Johnson was more than simply a strong athlete. He was the embodiment of justice. Crestwood High School continued to be a different place for many weeks following the incident. The members of Jason Carter's team went down the hallways with their shoulders lowered and avoided making eye contact. The anxiety had gone. The rumors were no longer spoken about their next victim. Rather, they were said about him. It is Malik Johnson, the shy youngster who, in a matter of seconds, knocked down 3 bullies. Those who did not take pride in their accomplishments, have not boasted. All he did was return to his normal routine as if nothing had occurred. However, the world was not yet finished testing him. Derek Carter, Jason's elder brother, was a different type of monster than you would expect. On the other hand, Derek was icy, calculating, and deadly, in contrast to Jason, who was all talk and entitlement. He had been the true enforcer behind the Carter family's power in town. He had been a collegiate linebacker with a reputation for ferocity. And when he learned of the humiliation that his younger brother had endured, he made one thing quite clear. Nobody touches a Carter. Malik was aware that it was going to happen. At one point in the morning, a black SUV arrived at his bus stop. When the window was rolled down, Derek's cold gaze was shown underneath it. "You Malik?" There was no flinching on Malik's part. "Yeah, you messed up my brother." "He messed with me first." Derek gave a smirk. "I agree. It's not about being fair, however. The issue is one of respect." At Malik's feet, he hurled a letter that had been folded. "Come on over. Otherwise, I will begin to come after your people." Midnight, the old mill was the address that was written on the letter. Malik had the wisdom to know better than to go headfirst into a conflict. That was something that he had learned from his father's instruction. However, he was also aware that Derek would not stop until this matter was resolved. And so he went. And not by oneself. An abandoned structure on the outskirts of town, the old mill was a decaying husk of a building. It was encircled by chain-link fences, making it an ideal location for items that needed to be concealed. As he waited, Derek was surrounded by 4 of his teammates from higher education. Each one of them is larger. Every one of them was beaming. "You've been waiting for far too long," Derek snarled. "Thought you might chicken out." Malik let out a drawn-out breath while rolling his shoulders. No, I only needed to make a phone call." After then, the parking area was swamped with headlights. A vehicle of dark color came to a screeching stop. The doors suddenly shot open, and 3 individuals that Malik was acutely familiar with emerged from the room. It was his father, uncle of his, also his elder brother, who served in the Marine Corps. Derek's sneer no longer existed. The cracking of Malik's father's knuckles was heard. "Son, you wanted to get into a fight? Let's see how you do while dealing with actual troops." What comes to pass, it was not a battle that took place after that. An utter destruction took place. The lads that Derek had were tough, but they were also brawlers. They were street fighters who depended on their bulk and their aggressiveness. The family of Malik. They were vehicles for warfare. The use of pinpoint accuracy. The locks are bone-breaking. Efficient to the extreme. Derek was on his knees, gasping, and one of his eyes was swelled shut while he was on his knees. On the ground, his friends were moaning and gripping their ribs while their arms were twisted in the incorrect direction. Derek was grabbed by the collar as Malik's brother bent down and grabbed him. "You are a really excellent listener. Do you ever come near my little brother again? We are not satisfied with only bruising him." "Is that accurate?" Derek hastily nodded his head. Derek Carter withdrew from his college admissions the next day. The spread of rumors was like wildfire. It was speculated that Malik had a clandestine military family. There were others who said that he was a member of an underground combat club. However, there was one thing that was certain. Malik Johnson was never bullied for the rest of his life. "Do you mean Crestwood High?" In time, it evolved into a new sort of school. Because there are times when all it, unidentified and without a return address, it was secretly placed inside Malik's locker. Just a single line written in a sharp, slanted handwriting style. "You are a good fighter, but you've never engaged in combat with someone like me." At midnight. This is the warehouse district. Come by yourself. Blood began to run cold in Malik. Certainly, he was not some high school punk who was trying to establish his worth. Now, this was not the same. A trained expert. When Malik's son was explaining the message to him, his father remained silent and listened. Then, with a gloomy expression on his face, he slowly exhaled. Sounds like Kane. Who? I am Kane Mercer, a combatant in the underground, without a single loss. He is not such like the Carters. He does not fight for the sake of pride or vengeance. Because he enjoys it, he engages in combat. His father looked directly into Malik's eyes. And if he's coming for you, it's because he thinks you're worth breaking. Malik's hands were tightly clenched. So what do I do? His father gave a sly grin. You show him why we don't lose. The area was a factory that had been abandoned and was located on the boundary of the city. There are no lights. There are no witnesses. Only the hollow echo of pouring water and sirens in the distance could be heard. Then he made his appearance. Kane Mercer was taller than Malik because he was slender yet corded with muscle, which was a sign that he had been trained in fighting for many years. His black eyes shone brightly in the darkness of the flashing lights above him. When Kane said, "You came," his voice was silky. "Okay. It's a terrible waste of my time." The shoulder of Malik was rolled back. "Do you want to get into a fight?" "Let's get into a fight." Kane wore a smile. "Oh, child, this isn't an ordinary battle at all. This is a thing to learn." Malik was aware that this was not like any other. From the very beginning. Because of his fluid movement, Kane was able to dodge, weave, and strike with precise precision. He was more than simply physically powerful. And he was quick. Uncertainty exists. A spinning kick was deflected by Malik, and he responded with a crushing elbow. However, Kane pivoted in midair, evading the strike as if he had been aware of its anticipated arrival. Kane made fun of you by saying, "You rely on power too much, but power means nothing if you can't land a hit." Malik gripped his teeth tightly. He had never before encountered someone with such a high level of talent. Then Kane made a leftward feint. Malik gave his response. It was a mistake. The impact of Kane's fist on Malik's ribs was comparable to that of a sledgehammer. After the hit, he stumbled backwards and gasped for air. The vision of Malik became hazy. It seemed as if his father's voice was heard in his head. Adapt or die. Once again, Kane attacked, but this time Malik shifted his position. He did not engage in a confrontation with force, but rather flowed. He evaded capture. It was redirected. Make use of Kane's momentum to your advantage. As a result of Kane's missing blow, he was left vulnerable for a brief moment. A crack could be heard when Malik's fist made contact with Kane's jaw. The warrior who had never lost before stumbled. There is no sound. As a result, Kane laughed. Now that's what I wanted to see. Even when he wiped the blood from his lip, Kane maintained his smile. You are nicely schooled by your grandfather. On the other hand, you have been hoarding. Putting up a fight amid fear, Malik wore a frown. What are you talking about? You think this is just about winning a fight? Kane's grin began to fade. Due to the fact that I am aware of what you may be, I came here. In this very moment. It's a waste of your time. His chest heaved in response. Who sent you? In the direction of the shadows, Kane turned and walked. Let's just say, someone who believes in you more than you do. He vanished after that. The next morning, Malik discovered an additional message located in his locker. If you are interested in gaining an understanding of what true strength is, I invite you to meet me at 5 in the morning. The 17th doc, unable to take his eyes off the words, Malik's pulse raced. However, this was not just another battle.